was speaking, you mentioned in the FBI and domestic terrorism, there are these subcategories of domestic terrorism: racial, anti-government, animal, environmental, abortion, and catch-all. I think those are what I heard. Under the anti-government category or subcategory of domestic terrorism, would that include groups like Antifa or Black Lives Matter, folks who commit violence or acts of domestic terrorism?
Well, we don't identify groups, but individuals' actions. So if individuals are committing actions that would be in furtherance of anti-government or anarchist ideals, then they would fall into that category.
So would you quantify Antifa as an anarchist group then under that subcategory? I mean, it's an anarchist group, right? Or related?
There are individuals, I think the director has previously described them as a movement, and there have been individuals that have associated or identified with Antifa that have conducted violent acts that we would categorize as anarchist.
How many acts of violence or domestic terrorism has Antifa committed over the last 2 years?
Since we don't categorize Antifa, nor do we calculate or collate information regarding Antifa, that movement, we don't have that, but we could provide you information on anarchist threats and cases in general.
How many open cases of anarchist violence and domestic terrorism have occurred over the last 2 years?
Yeah.
Mr.
I think, yeah, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, so we have, as far as arrest activities for the anti-government, anti-authority, we have 75 total arrests, and within that would be the anti-government, 36 being of anti-government and 21 being militia violence. That's all part of our anti-government authority.
Okay, and interesting. I mean, Antifa's real. It's not a myth. I have been a victim of some of the anarchist Antifa type of activity, violence, whatever you want to call it. I even had my house spray painted this summer. Democrats told me it wasn't Antifa, it was anarchy. I don't really know the difference. I have one more question at the end for Mr. Cohen. And really, all of your testimonies this morning, and I want to thank each and every one of you for being here today, but discuss the importance of working with federal, state, and local, tribal, and territorial law enforcement partners and agencies. This partnership is immensely critical to protecting all of our communities from terrorism, domestic and foreign, racially motivated or otherwise. But I am dismayed by the recent push by many on the left to defund the police and slash law enforcement budgets and personnel at a time when crime is clearly on the rise. Mr. Cohen, do you believe defunding state, local, tribal, and territorial partners, law enforcement agencies is going to help solve our domestic terrorism problem? Yes or no?
I mean, I was a police officer. I'm proud of my profession. I think law enforcement has a critically important role to play in protecting our communities, whether it be from crime or terrorism. Law enforcement agencies also have to behave in a non-discriminatory manner to be—
Mr. Cohen, yeah, would you believe that defunding state, local police funding is going to help solve domestic terror? Yes or no?
No, we need police.
Is there any scenario where defunding the police would prevent the next Dylan Roof?
I would just go back to what I said before. I think law enforcement plays a critical role in preventing accidents.
I believe the answer is no. I want to thank you all for your time today. Mr. Chairman, I'm shocked by the few arrests that we have in cases open regarding Antifa. I would like to request unanimous consent that the following documents be entered into the record. The first, an article from the Post and Courier detailing vandalism committed at my home by anarchists and Antifa-related individuals, allegedly based on the symbolism and the comments made on my home at the time. An article from the Wall Street Journal showing $840 million in cuts to police budgets last year. An article from the New York Times explaining that there were 300 protests, federal protest cases involving mostly arson or assaulting police officers.